Uh, can you guys tell me what is this thing? What's this podcast?
We just talk to interesting people about interesting stuff.
Almost underworld hobby of ginseng collecting. I had guys ask me if I would wear a blindfold, wear camo. I said, I will wear camo, but I am not wearing a blindfold.
I went to the Texas Body Farm and learned how to draw from decomposed spaces to be able to identify somebody. I took a whole week course on that.
He starts turning me around in a circle real slow. He said, take him where you are right now. And it was probably 30 seconds, and I'll never forget that as long as I live.
Aesthetically, it makes sense to probably not tell the inner workings of what you're doing, but you're not going to get arrested by the magic police.
The dog's job is to make sure that I walk safely. So the dog, in theory, won't lead me over to a manhole and when it's open, try to dump me down into the manhole. In theory, we have a good enough relationship that they won't do that. And they don't. It's love.
As a purist and as someone who actually likes the even earlier generation of the old Donald Duck cartoons with Chip and Dale. And we thought it was sacrilege when the Rescue Rangers came on. So
I pointed that out. I pointed out to people that was one of the first tweets I did. I said, guys, because they said they're changing things. It should be exactly the same. I said, if the internet was around when we did that show, maybe we would have been forced to just have these chipmunks stealing walnuts from Donald Duck. I mean, it was like we actually put clothes on them, We didn't go as far as pants because that would be silly.
I audition from home, but I have to tell my neighbors, I'm like, look, sometimes I'm going to be auditioning for a video game. So if you hear me screaming or yelling, he's got a gun or shoot or, like sometimes they're like, oh, she's being burned alive. And I'm like, if you hear something like that, just know I'm okay. I'm just recording. I have to warn my neighbors not to call the police.
When Jackie got signed, when Don got signed, when Roy got signed, when Larry Doby got signed, the Black community. Now, those patrons and fans could go to games where they were Major League Baseball, and they could watch those players play in the major leagues, which had a devastating, I'm going to say that word again, a devastating effect on the legacy, on the history of the Negro Leagues.
George's mother had a very, frank conversation with him saying, George, all they're going to see is your face. And George looks very Chinese. And she said, they're going to treat you like a Chinese person. So that's why you have to be 10 times better, because you're going to white America and they treat people of color differently.
I got to find my place somewhere in between every day. Somewhere in between the weight of the crown and bound at your feet. Oh, somewhere in between the shape on my shoulder and this heart on my sleeve.
RFK Jr. can say vaccines cause autism as much as he wants. They don't. And congressmen can say it, and sycophants can say it, and people in the media can say it. But the fact of the matter is it's wrong.
His songs can delineate an entire character in just a few words sometimes. In his musicals, you learn about their entire backstory from a song he writes.
Our future is still very much in our hands. We have the ability to change the trajectory of this thing. And it's happening already, and it's happening because of economics. Once it becomes cheaper to do the right thing, that's the way it's going to go.
Okay, and one other thing before we go, Gina, I have a question for you. John sent me this photo not too long ago. You said you've met Stephen King and some other writers. How did you meet Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift, this is because I have no shame. And this was something that, again, my husband, well-meaning as he is, and whom I adore, I'd given a talk at Vanderbilt University down in Nashville. This was, 25 years ago. And we were in a diner in Nashville. It was probably 11 o'clock in the morning. It was pretty empty. And so I recognized her, and she was sitting with a very handsome young man who I now realize, going through the biography, that it must have been Jake Gyllenhaal. But I had a flip phone. And I thought, I could be really cool with my students. And Michael's like, don't bother them. They're having breakfast. And I said, that's a singer that my students love. And I'm going to have a picture with her. And so I went up to the nice, handsome young man, and I said, I bet you know how to take a picture, because I don't. But I'm an admirer of Miss Swift's, and I know my students would be very impressed if I could have a picture with her. And he said, yes, ma'am. And she was lovely. She was so nice. She was like, of course, I'd be honored. And it's lovely that your students like my music. And I'm so proud that you like it and that you know the song. And so I was a Swiftie before there was such a word.
Listen on our website, musicalinnertube.com, or on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.